I can tell you I've interviewed hundreds of attorneys over the years, and I am routinely shocked and surprised with how little law firms share with other attorneys in their practice. And many times that's why they're coming to me looking at another opportunity, because they really don't know. Some of them don't even know their own collections, for goodness sake. Well, hello and welcome to the J. Sterling Who Show, where we share how we have built our family law practice from 0 to 25 attorneys and 15 million in revenue, all in the past 10 years. And my purpose here is to document what's working and what's not working, with hopes that you can take that and you can recontextualize it and shorten your success curve. My name is Jeff Hughes and I'm your host. In today's show, we're going to talk about how to nurture an owner's mentality in your associates, your associate lawyers, how to do that. That's a common complaint that I hear when I go to masterminds or conferences, is that the associates in my firm or the attorneys in my firm, they just think about just their own world. They don't think about what's going on globally within the practice in the firm. They don't, frankly, have an owner's mentality. So I hear that a ton. I'm sure I've said it along the way. So I want to share with you some observations and realities around this. And I think there's some best practices on how to do it. And third, how do you reward when it actually happens? So the reality is this, everyone. Most associates and non-partner attorneys in your firm just simply want to be attorneys. They really don't care about ownership. Only a small minority will even think about this and have the mentality that ownership and thinking and preparing to be an owner demands. Most of them just want to be lawyers. So it's something that I have had to come to grips with, is stop fighting the tide. It's like trying to fight against gravity, all right? You're not gonna beat it. That's the reality. So it's really about nurturing those few who really do want to know, who want more responsibility, who want potentially the one day to become partner or to become part owner in the firm. We can't force a team to do this, right? We know this. It's all about when someone raises their hand and says, hey, I wanna know a little bit more, it's nurturing that, because now you have something you can work with. And what I've also found around this, that the more we can do it, the more attorneys we can do it with, the firm with the most associates and attorneys thinking like owners, that's the firm that wins. The team with the most leaders wins. And these attorneys and these associates are the ones who have leadership potential, okay? Also, as you're creating this nurturing environment, right, and waiting for attorneys to raise their hand and say, hey, I would like to have more responsibility, or I'd like to start learning how to act and think and perform like an owner. That may happen later with people. People come and go, right? They may not be ready today, but they may be ready in the future. It's certainly not a permanent thing. We all know this, right? There is a major disconnect between lawyer training and business training, ownership training. Our traditional path that all of us went through, we just did not get that type of training in law school. That's just not what they do. And so that's also, I think, led to this disconnect a little bit between associates thinking of themselves as owning their practice or being part of a bigger group to think like an owner in the sense for the entire practice. So law schools excel at producing skilled legal minds, but they often fall short when it comes to training in these areas here, okay? So how do we do this? I have found that when we're transparent and we let them in on the business of our law firm by reporting, sharing numbers with them that are not commonly shared, it does create an environment where people ask questions and some people want to know more. And the more we can educate attorneys in our firm through just sharing information, sharing numbers, being transparent around those things, the more opportunity we have to develop them as leaders and as future owners within the practice, partners within the practice. I've seen firms operate under this veil of secrecy when it comes to financial information. It's like they have the secret Coca-Cola formula or the Colonel's secret recipe or something. I can tell you I've interviewed hundreds of attorneys over the years, and I am routinely shocked and surprised with how little law firms share with other attorneys in their practice. And many times that's why they're coming to me looking at another opportunity, because they really don't know. Some of them don't even know their own collections, for goodness sake, which seems like 101 to share that information. So opening the books, being transparent, and helping these associates see, hey, look, here's how your contribution to the firm, here's how your work contributes to the firm's financial success, the firm's financial well-being, and help them connect the dots between their collections, having a good collection percentage, their client service, helping them connect the dots between that work to a business outcome for the firm is really vital to help them really understand that, hey, there is a downstream financial effect to what I'm doing today. And enabling them to connect all of that up, I think, is real helpful to create a nurturing environment that you're trying to create. You also might be surprised to learn that many associates don't ask questions because they're embarrassed. They don't want to embarrass themselves and ask a business question. I remember one time, this was like when we were around, I think like around 3 million in revenue or so, I was sharing our numbers and I had an attorney say, wow, I didn't know you made $3 million. At first I thought she was kidding, but she wasn't. And I remember saying, well, we have expenses, and that does significantly decrease the size of that profit that's coming home. And I took that time to help her understand, hey, your salary is an expense that goes into that. Everybody's salaries, all this real estate expense and marketing expense and all that kind of rolls up, and we got to pay that. So it never ceases to amaze me that there's opportunity to educate on this stuff that we need to do. Okay, so that's the second thing. It's just providing that type of business education. It doesn't have to be formally like in classes. I tried that once and that was a failure. No one wanted to go to a class, learn about a balance sheet or, learn about some sort of business principle, but doing it as a part of your regular routine meetings, maybe your yearly meetings for sure, your quarterly meetings, whatever you have, just taking that time to educate everyone on the business of the law firm. I think that also helps just to raise awareness around this with our associates. Another thing you can do is empower your associates by giving them full client immersion as quickly as you can, helping them understand every stage of the client's journey, from when they make that initial phone call to that intake call to that consult to them becoming a client, serving them through and then exiting out of the firm, helping our associates understand that full breadth of all of that instills in them a sense of how the firm works, which gives them a business sense for what's happening within the firm. So giving them full client immersion, owner of that client relationship, encouraging direct communication, helping them learn how to practice and learn how that impacts the business of their practice individually and the business of the entire firm. So that's real helpful. So that also goes with that. Anytime you can have certainly any mentorship around those who want to learn more, that's also another major thing that we do within our firm. If someone wants to know something, I'm certainly gonna spend time mentoring them, helping them understand that. And I know other people in our firm do that as well. So also rewarding ownership behavior by rewarding and aligning compensation around the individual and the firm's success, getting the individual success of that attorney to match up and sync up with the firm's success and rewarding accordingly to that really helps. There's nothing like your salary and your compensation dependent on the firm's success. And then the curiosity that goes with that of like, okay, I need to understand how the firm needs to be successful for me to get paid. So aligning all of that up is critical. I mean, like most firms pay by percentage of collections. Our firm's not any different around that, but also taking that a step further and show here's how your collections go toward you. Here's how much of your collections go toward paying the government for your compensation, because we got to pay taxes on top of that, and how much we spend to attract a client, how much each opportunity and each consult is worth, and how that impacts what we can pay. All that stuff rolls in to helping associates understand more about the business of the practice and how better to have an ownership mentality for the particular practice. Well, thank you. I hope that's been helpful to you, and have a great week.